This is TWiT.
We were talking about Apple's enterprise ambitions, but of course Microsoft has some as well, and I think this is no surprise. They've announced that they're going to make Office for iPad and iPhone free, Android too. In the past, you've had to have an Office 365 subscription to use Office. You could always use it as a read-only tool, Excel, Word, and PowerPoint. Now you can edit with them. You can effectively use almost all of their features for free. They also announced
all the simple stuff.
All the simple stuff, yeah. You can not interestingly some of the high-end enterprise stuff. They also announced a strategic partnership with the Dropbox, so that you don't just have to use OneBox or OneDrive. You can use Dropbox to store your documents without paying Microsoft anything at all. Is this Microsoft's way, a shot across the bow to Apple?
No, Apple would love to think that they're a threat to anybody's Office suite. This really is a way to blunt Google Docs, because remember that I think there are two advantages to having like students and early professionals using your product. One is that if you can get them to buy it for $99, okay, that's $99 you didn't have. But what you really want is for them to really learn how to use this product, and for that to be the tool that they want to use for the rest of their careers. And I think that Microsoft is a little bit more concerned that with more people who are using Google Docs, that makes it a lot easier for the next generation of IT people and the next generation of people who are setting up the infrastructure for a company to say, you know what, we're going to standardize on Google Docs and not on Microsoft Office. And given the amount of money they make off of enterprise versus the amount of money they make off of students and off of just casual users, this is just like easy money. It seemed like an easy decision to say, let's give up a small amount of money with the idea that this is going to pay off big time long term by making our entire ecosystem a lot more valuable.
Yeah. As we start getting new people into the company, it is far more likely that they're going to know Google Docs at this point than Microsoft or Pages. We have to usually make them use numbers.
Does anybody use Pages?
Yeah. No, I don't. There is no bigger fan in any group of people of Apple than me. The only Apple iWork doc app that I use is Keynote.
Yeah, and Keynote's awesome.
And yeah, because
you use it specifically as an antidote to PowerPoint.
Yeah, but the thing about the complication there is that I've been trying to use less of the flashier features. As it seems as though the more content I actually have, the less I need to say, what if I do a magic move to have this text swap positions and then more from one picture to another? It would not be that difficult for me to switch to PowerPoint. And if I worked in an office where I had to collaborate with other people and they said, oh, well, it's okay if you want to develop something in Keynote, but at some point you're going to have to convert this to PowerPoint, I would gripe for maybe 20 minutes, but I don't think I'd have a big trouble making that transition.
We work in a lot of where we're either running presentations for folks in big halls or we're working with people, and pretty much the thing that you see in every professional, like high-end presentation company, that's doing the PowerPoint type stuff is Keynote. I mean, everybody, like if they're really doing a presentation and they're serious about it, the next step after Keynote for most presentation companies, most like corporate presentation companies, is what's called a Spider or an Encore system, which is an $80,000 piece of hardware. So, before that, they're using when you get used to really pushing Keynote, I think that when you go back to PowerPoint, then definitely to whatever that thing is, that the presentation thing that Google does, they're just very rough compared to as far as the speed at which you can put things together and how quickly you can put something together that looks nice. I think Keynote is definitely the best thing that they have. I think that Numbers is not actually good at heavy-duty spreadsheets, but when it comes to organizing stuff, doing basic budgets, that kind of thing, it's just much faster, I think, than
same.
And I worked in Excel for a long time, and I don't use the Google one at all. I mean, I do, like, I always save it out to it, like at the last step to hand it off to a client, but it's horrible.
I cut and paste into Google Docs a lot, but I use Keynote and Numbers. I don't use Pages. I use BB Edit mostly, but I'll cut and paste into Google Docs when I have to.
And we're in Google Docs every day. I mean, the presentation, I don't even know how we could run our business without it at this point. Without Google Docs. So it's just certain apps that I don't like. But
so Microsoft isn't really threatened then by the alternatives. This is just.
Well, I think they're definitely threatened by Google. I mean,
except Google.
Yeah.
I think they understand that you need to have a really superlative free product
Yeah.
And so I think this was an easy decision for them to make.
But I think it's not just Google. I think there's so many smaller apps now. Like if you look at iOS's AI Writer, and there's just tons of apps that can do basic presentations, that can do basic writing, and it's the sum of all those things. And I used this analogy before, and it's terrible, but I still think it's apt. Like if you're in a mixed martial arts fight and you're being overwhelmed, you can just cover up and try and weather it, or you can cover up and drop down and try to take the person down and change the fight. And it's not clear which one Microsoft is doing, but they're definitely sort of reacting to the market and covering up a little bit. Microsoft is a company that Bill Gates stood up there and proudly says, you're stealing my software. They made their billions selling software, and now they're giving away Office for free, and that is enormous sea change.
I agree.
And it is responsive, but it is a change.
They're not giving away Office for free. They're giving away a mobile version of Office that doesn't have the full fighting power of this fully armed and operational battle station known as Microsoft Office.
But
it would be different if they.
It has as much as Google Docs does, doesn't it?
I would say it's certainly competitive with certainly competitive with Google Docs. I think
you're not going to give away more, or maybe not much more capability anyway than the competitor.
I think that what this must say is that they've looked at how availability of Microsoft Office for iOS has affected upticks of Office 365 subscriptions. They figured out that people are not subscribing to Office 365 specifically to get this product, so therefore we may as well use this to our advantage differently. Like as Rene says, I'll hijack your analogy to change the fight. So we will now use this as a promotional thing to enhance the value of Office 365, the thing that we really, really do want to sell on other platforms.
But it does put people's minds that Office is free. Like it's not always free. It's not free on the desktop. It's not free in enterprise, but it does start putting that idea out there. And as someone who wants to pay money to get great mobile software, it's just one more arrow in the heart of paid mobile software.
But that ship already sailed on. I mean, Apple already torpedoed third-party development of really good productivity software by giving away iWork for free. They also kind of cut off the legs of that beast by making it really, really difficult to do a superlative text editor with actual inline editing and stuff like that. If you're not an Apple brand word processor, so I feel as though that ship had already sailed. I don't think that's as significant as it might be on other platforms.
Google Drive, not to be left behind, is off letting you open and save files using other apps, gets Touch ID and video downloading, big upgrades for Google Drive as well. I think this is a great battle for consumers.
Well, and it's heating up. I mean, I think all of these companies are spending. I mean, I think Apple, Microsoft. I mean, we're seeing behind the scenes. We're seeing this huge push on all three companies to go after this market, and so they're all fighting. This is definitely not anything that they're just kind of doodling with. None of these are hobbies for any of these companies.